relationship between global north and south, this conference is designed, and it was actually conceived as an archetype of bridging the divide, the divide between the two geographies, but also building connections between scholarship and industry.
The most important thing that I think we should cover, or we should challenge the existing views and discourses about the center and periphery relations between East African nations and the so-called the West, the international powers. And we want to concentrate today on the current trends.
We didn't coordinate this one before, right? Innovation and innovation. Great minds think alike, right?
No one develops, or no state or no nation develops in isolation. And so the partnership that we have put together to have this conference come true, it is something we cherish, as scholars, but also from an institutional perspective.
And because the challenges facing the world are immense, they're huge, they go beyond each of us individually. And so coming together like we have today is really wonderful for all of us to be able to start to develop solutions to these challenges.
We actually gathered here to reflect, unveil, and try to look at the data. What does it tell us? What does the trade data tell us? What does defense and security spending tell us about the future of Africa?
Why are we having these challenges despite this massive investment in the region by American, by British and other forces that help us to actually develop our armies or military power and so on. So we will talk about doing development for whose interest? For whose interest are you doing this development? And is this development understood by the person in the village, in Vihiga, in Makueni, in Kwale, the same way Westerners understand development?
Then we have to ask what strings are attached to each and every superpower that is working here, or smaller countries, or NGOs, or Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And it was just raised in the first panel, but I hope that in our lectures today it would go in deeper what kinds of strings are attached to each and every one of the global actors working in this region. What are the demands?
I was surprised when I heard that it's actually the Norwegians who helped Somalia to draft the case that Somalia took to the ICJ on our maritime boundary dispute with Somalia. That it's the Norwegians who were helping Somalia to take this case to the ICJ. I was shocked, because you expect Norway to be on the side of peace, not antagonism between neighbors. So we should be more cautious. We should be aware as Kenya, and if you know there's a challenge, you begin to develop strategies to confront those challenges.
You said correctly that Israel is certainly not a superpower, and we are not when you compare, and all the discussion here was about some of the superpowers, but Israel is the only country which has a land border with Africa.
Kenya and Israel share sentimental attachment, and our nations predates to independence, and it's manifested through our various exchanges.
But I'm not ashamed to reiterate that the relationship between the global powers and Africa states has been that of what I call a butterfly, in which case the Western powers maintain the thorax, and unfortunately Africa just wings. Wings means you are at the periphery. The thorax is really the center.
Since we are sharing a land border, there are certain issues like security, like stability, issues that were mentioned earlier, the stability, prosperity of Africa, are Israeli interests as well.
And so, if we want to be part and parcel of the global realignment, we must address the diplomacy of butterfly.
There is realignment
global geopolitical realignment taking place, serious one. And what is driving it? It's fear. There's a lot of fear around. The Americans are scared. The Chinese are worried. And the Russians are concerned. And they're all doing something about it, which is not very good for the rest of us.
The conference is actually aimed at deepening our understanding of the burgeoning geopolitical and geostrategic realignment among our global powers, not just in the region, but also across.
I don't think it's about fixing the economy. I think it's about fixing the governance of the state. If the state was interested in honest governance, they would have a lot more time, resources and energy for jobs and required infrastructure, and everything would be necessary for allowing more jobs to be created.
But you know, aid is like drugs. It's an addiction. And you have drug peddlers called aid peddlers, donors, and it's their business to keep the aid victim a victim, perpetual. You try to get out of it, they fix you. The way drug dealers do with drug addicts.
So the program of small arms and light weapons and published in the northern parts of Kenya. Fat gun is a food, my brother. Fat gun. You're asking, how will they afford money to buy the gun when they cannot afford food? That gun is a food. Without that gun, there is no survival. Why? Because the economy is pastoralist. Rely on livestock. And the only way to guard your livestock from external threats and internal ones, from your communities who raid just like you do, and your neighbors across the border, is that you can have a gun, so that when they strike, you defend your animals, because the state is not present.
What opportunities exist from these conversations that we've had? Do we see any opportunities that we can tap into so that we can begin to bring changes? This is a difficult question, but I believe that it's a shared problem regionally. We have the resources.
I want to welcome everybody to applaud and join us as this time. And the motto is very, African, and we were trying to look at something that is building on the Pan-Africanism that will get into the next stage. Seeding the African intellectualism is actually one of the things that it's lacking, scholarship and research, and we believe best research can come from Africa.